It is 3 inches the afternoon on a Tuesday in the middle of July. The thermostat in your hallway says 78 degrees, but you set it to 68.6 long hours ago. Your central air conditioner has been running non-stop since breakfast. You can hear it humming, fighting, straining, but the house is not cooling down. Why? Because right above your ceiling, in a dark space you almost never visit, the temperature right now is 142 degrees. The plywood of your roof deck is baking in the direct summer sun, and that intense heat is pushing straight down through the drywall, right into the rooms where your family eats and sleeps. Every single minute your air conditioner runs, it is fighting a completely losing battle against a massive furnace sitting right on top of your house. And every minute it fights, the power company reaches a little deeper into your wallet. Last month, your electric bill was $250. Next month, it will be well over $300. Now, I want you to sit with this truth. There is a simple homemade liquid you can mix in a plastic bucket right now, using two extremely common things you can buy at any local hardware store for about $2 total. You pour this liquid into a cheap pump-up garden sprayer. You climb up into that 140-degree attic, and you spray a thin coat of this liquid right onto the underside of your roof wood. Within minutes, the temperature in your attic drops by 20 degrees. The radiant heat simply stops. The furnace above your head shuts down. Your air conditioner finally turns off. And that $300 power bill drops by a third every single month, forever. This is not a new chemical invention. My name is Elias Yoder. I am Amish. I live on a farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, that my grandfather built with his own two hands back in 1934. In the entire history of this farmhouse, we have never owned an air conditioner. We have no forced air. We have no monthly electric bill to argue over. Yet, on the hottest, most brutal afternoon in the middle of August, the upstairs bedrooms where my children sleep stay cool and quiet. They stay cooler than a modern house wrapped in plastic and stuffed full of expensive pink fiberglass. We keep our homes cool because we use a completely different method, a method that was written down over 150 years ago. Today, I am going to show you exactly what this $2 homemade liquid is. I am going to tell you the exact recipe, exactly how to mix it in a plain plastic bucket, and exactly how to spray it up in your own attic this weekend. Then, I am going to tell you the part that should make you a little angry. Because the men who sold you your expensive roof and the companies that sold you your massive air conditioner know all about this old chemistry. They just agreed a long time ago to never, ever mention it to you. Stay with me right now. By the end of this short video, you will know how to take back your own house from the giant electric company. Let me start with what is actually happening above your ceiling right now. Because if you do not understand the problem, the solution will just sound like magic, and I will not tell you folk magic. I tell you plain physics. When the bright summer sun hits your roof shingles, those shingles get extremely hot. That heat transfers directly into the plywood of your roof deck. Now, here is the secret about heat that modern builders completely ignore. That hot wood does not just warm the air inside your attic. It radiates heat downward in a perfectly straight line, exactly like a glowing iron coil inside a kitchen toaster oven. This is called radiant heat. It travels invisibly through the empty air until it hits something solid. And what it hits is your attic floor, your ceiling joists, and all that expensive pink fiberglass insulation the contractor happily rolled out. Here is the terrible truth about that pink fiberglass. It is designed to slow down hot air, but it does absolutely nothing to stop radiant heat. Radiant heat passes right into that insulation and bakes it. Your insulation simply absorbs the heat all afternoon like a giant sponge. By evening, that pink sponge is completely full, and it starts slowly releasing all that stored heat straight down into your family's bedroom. You are literally sleeping under a massive heated blanket that you paid the builder to install. But radiant heat has one single massive weakness. It travels in a straight line, but it bounces entirely off the color white. This is not a new scientific discovery. For hundreds of years, people living in the hottest deserts on Earth painted their roofs and walls stark white. White does not absorb radiant heat. It violently reflects it back up into the open sky. If the underside of your roof deck is raw, dark wood, it endlessly radiates heat into your house. If you turn that dark wood a brilliant, blinding white, it suddenly throws 80% of that terrible heat right back out. It is really just that incredibly and undeniably simple. My grandfather did not have air conditioning, and he did not have pink fiberglass. He had something much better. He had a simple white powder that cost pennies, and he used it to paint the inside of his barns and the underside of his attic roof. Today, the modern English builders will try to sell you rolls of shiny foil radiant barrier. They will charge you $2,000 or $3,000 to staple it up in your attic, but you do not need their expensive foil. What my grandfather used, and what we still use today, is a homemade liquid called traditional whitewash. I am not talking about modern white paint. Modern paint is just liquid plastic that seals the wood and eventually peels off. I am talking about a mixture of plain hydrated lime, ordinary salt, and fresh water. When you mix these three extremely cheap things together, you create a powerful, brilliant white liquid. When you spray this natural liquid onto the raw, dark wood underneath your roof, it does not just sit on the surface like plastic paint. The lime soaks deeply into the wood grain. The salt binds it tight. As it dries, it turns into a stark, blinding white chalky layer that actually becomes part of the wood itself. That brilliant white layer becomes a massive radiant barrier. Instead of absorbing the brutal summer heat, the white lime reflects nearly 80% of that radiant energy straight back up and out through the roof. It stops the heat from ever reaching your ceiling. Your attic drops by 20 degrees in minutes. It is a pure, ancient farm secret that costs less than a cup of coffee. You will be completely amazed when you see how fast and perfectly it actually works up there, right now. Now, you are probably asking yourself a very simple question. If a $2 bag of lime and salt can drop the heat in an attic by 20 degrees, why did the man who built my house not tell me about it? Why did the roofing contractor not spray it? The answer is the part that should make you very angry. It is because there is absolutely no money in teaching a man how to solve his own problems for $2. Think about the massive industries that profit off your blazing hot attic. First, there is the insulation company. They want to sell you thousands of dollars of thick fiberglass or chemical spray foam. Second, there is the massive HVAC industry. When your attic is acting like a furnace, your air conditioner wears out twice as fast. They get to sell you a brand new $5,000 machine every 10 years, plus expensive yearly maintenance contracts. And finally, there is the giant electric company. Every single degree of extra heat that pushes through your ceiling makes your meter spin faster. They are making billions of dollars in pure profit just because your house cannot naturally defend itself from the sun. There is no villain sitting in a dark room hiding this secret from you. It is much simpler than that. A product you mix yourself in a plastic bucket for pennies cannot pay a salesman's commission. It cannot fund a national television commercial. So the old, honest knowledge was quietly pushed aside, ignored, and forgotten. They trained you to believe that comfort has to come with a massive monthly subscription fee. We never forgot the truth because we never accepted their expensive wires in the first place. You do not have to accept them either. Today, we change that. Let me give you the exact shopping list for this weekend. It is incredibly simple, and you will find every single item at any local farm supply or basic hardware store. You do not need to order anything expensive online. First, you need a bag of hydrated lime. You might see it called builder's lime or mason's lime. It comes in a large 50-pound paper bag that usually costs around $10 to $12. You will only use a tiny fraction of it for this project, meaning your actual cost is pennies. Just make sure the bag says hydrated lime. Second, you need salt. Plain, cheap pickling salt or regular table salt from your kitchen pantry works perfectly. The salt is the secret binder. It helps the lime grip the raw wood tightly so it will never flake off. Third, you need clean tap water. Finally, you need a basic pump-up garden sprayer. You likely already have one sitting in your garage. If you do not, you can buy a cheap one for about $10. You want the kind you pump by hand and carry by a strap over your shoulder. That is the entire list. Hydrated lime, plain salt, water, and a simple garden sprayer. You will spend less than $20 for the entire setup, and you will have enough leftover materials to treat 3 more houses. You are finally ready to stop paying the electric company for their expensive, endless subscription. Now, let me warn you. Now, I am going to stop right here and tell you the honest truth about safety. I take this very seriously, and you must too. I will never tell you a dangerous lie just to sound impressive. Hydrated lime is an old and natural material, but it is also highly alkaline. It is incredibly caustic. If wet lime sits on your bare skin, it will cause a chemical burn. If the fine white dust gets into your eyes while you are mixing it, it will hurt you very badly. So, when you open that paper bag, and especially when you climb up into that tight, hot attic to spray, you must protect yourself. You will wear long sleeves. You will wear thick rubber gloves on your hands. You will wear a good dust mask over your mouth and nose. And you must wear proper safety goggles over your eyes. Not regular glasses, but goggles that seal against your face. An attic is a small, enclosed space. When you spray this mixture, there will be a fine mist in the air. You do not want to breathe it, and you do not want it on your skin. Treated with proper respect, lime is one of the safest, oldest, and most reliable building materials on Earth. It has protected farmhouses for hundreds of years. But you must use common sense. Protect your eyes and your skin. Do not be careless. Once you are fully protected, you are ready to mix it up. Here is how you mix the liquid. You will do this outside in the fresh air, not inside the house. Take a clean 5-gallon plastic bucket. Do not use a metal bucket, because the alkaline lime will react with the metal and ruin your batch. Fill the bucket about halfway with plain cold tap water. Next, take your bag of hydrated lime. Using a plastic scoop, carefully measure out about 2 pounds of the white powder. Slowly pour it into the water. Never dump it fast, or a huge cloud of dust will fly up into your face. Then, pour in exactly 1 cup of plain table salt. The salt is the magic binder that locks the lime into the raw wood. Take a long wooden stick and stir the mixture slowly and steadily. Keep stirring until the liquid looks exactly like thin, watery milk. There should be absolutely no thick lumps at the bottom. Now, here is the most important step that most beginners miss. Before you pour this milky liquid into your pump sprayer, you must strain it. Pour the liquid through an old piece of window screen or a cheap paint strainer. If you skip this step, tiny unmixed clumps of lime will immediately clog the nozzle of your garden sprayer, and you will spend the entire afternoon frustrated. Strain it perfectly clean, carefully pour it into the plastic tank, tightly pump up the pressure, and you are now fully ready to cool down your house forever. Pick a very cool, early summer morning. Do not do this job at 3 in the afternoon, or the intense, brutal heat will physically drop you. Go up the ladder early when it is still safe. Bring a strong flashlight, your protective gear, and your pumped-up sprayer. When you poke your head up there, Look directly at the underside of your roof. You will see raw, dark wood plywood or old planks. That dark wood is your enemy. That is the exact surface radiating the brutal heat down into your home. Point the wand of your sprayer at the wood between the rafters. Pull the trigger and spray a very fine, light mist. Do not soak it until it drips heavily. You just want a thin, even coat over the raw wood. As you spray, it will look like dirty water. It will look completely transparent. Do not panic and spray more. That is the chemical trick. As the liquid dries, it violently changes. Within 15 minutes, that wet, invisible layer will turn into a stark, blinding, brilliant white. It is amazing to watch. You will literally feel the difference while you are still standing there. Before you sprayed, you could feel the heat pushing against the top of your head like a heavy weight. As that wood turns white, the heavy heat stops. The white lime instantly begins bouncing the sun's radiant energy back outside. Spray the entire underside of the roof deck. Work your way backward toward the attic hatch, so you are not crawling through any wet overspray. In less than 1 hour of simple, honest work, you have completely transformed a massive dark heat battery into a brilliant giant heat shield. The massive furnace above your head is officially broken. You just completely won the battle. Now, let me tell you what is actually happening to that wood, because this is where the real farm science comes in. When you buy regular paint from the hardware store, it dries into a thin plastic skin that sits on top of the wood. Over time, that cheap plastic skin cracks and peels away. But the ancient mixture you just sprayed does something completely different. As the water evaporates, the hydrated lime begins to pull carbon dioxide right out of the hot attic air. As it drinks in that gas, a chemical reaction takes place. The lime slowly turns back into calcium carbonate. Do you know what calcium carbonate is? It is solid limestone, the exact same hard rock it was originally mined from before it was ever crushed into a powder. You did not just paint the underside of your roof. You literally grew a thin, breathable layer of white rock directly inside the raw grain of your wood. Because of the salt you added, that stone layer is locked tightly into place. It will not peel, it will not crack. It breathes with the natural wood, but it blocks and reflects the heat perfectly. This is why a barn painted with this mixture over 100 years ago still looks brilliant white today. You have created a permanent, very hard, radiant barrier that the giant electric companies hope you never discover. You have now secured your entire home using nothing but simple earth, basic salt, and pure time. I am going to be completely honest with you right now because I value your trust over making a fast dollar. I will not oversell this. This brilliant white layer reflects radiant heat perfectly, but it does not fix a broken house. If your attic gable vents are clogged with 30 years of dead leaves and wasp nests, your attic will still hold hot air. You must still have basic ventilation. Hot air still needs a place to escape. This homemade spray will not magically turn your house into a freezing meat locker in the middle of a brutal August heat wave. It is not an air conditioner. What it will actually do is stop the massive, silent, straight-line, radiant heat that is violently baking your ceiling. It will take the heavy, miserable load off your air conditioner. It will drop your power bill. An honest farmer tells you what a tool can do, and he tells you exactly what it cannot do. Honest truth is always better than an impressive lie. Manage your basic vents, spray the raw wood white, and let the old science do the heavy lifting. Now, let me challenge you directly for this coming weekend. Listen. So, here is exactly what I want you to do this coming weekend. Do not wait for the hottest, most brutal week of August. Drive to your local hardware store or farm supply and buy 1 bag of hydrated lime. Grab a box of plain salt from your kitchen. Just spend the $20. Get up early on Saturday morning before the sun heats the roof. Put on your long sleeves, your gloves, your mask, and your safety goggles. Mix the water, the lime, and the salt in a plastic bucket. Strain it perfectly clean. Pour it into your garden sprayer. Climb up into that dark, miserable space, and turn the underside of your roof brilliant white. Then, walk back downstairs. Wash your hands and listen. You will hear your air conditioner finally turn off. You will feel the difference in the air, and you will see the difference on your very next electric bill. You will finally own your home again, instead of renting comfort from a giant utility company. Tell me in the comments below exactly where you live and what your electric bill was last month. I truly read every single one of these comments. If you try this simple $2 liquid spray, please come back and tell me exactly how many degrees your attic dropped. Your honest stories help the new folks who were never taught these things. Next time, I am going to show you an old farmhouse trick to keep mice completely out of your home using just one strong-smelling plant from the garden and absolutely no poison. It is the natural next step after today. Until then, stay cool, stay watchful, and remember the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember.